So looking at the trials of all the first-line treatments, what we know about interferons and glutaric acetate is they really are much of a muchness. They all tend to reduce relapse rates by about a third. And similarly, they tend to reduce the number of MRI lesions that we see, and also the active lesions that enhance with the contrast gadolinium are reduced. Last year, this paper was published, which there's been a lot of debate as to whether interferons have any effect on actual disease progression and disability. And in this paper, where people have been followed up for a longer period of time than the original studies, we can see that over 5, 6, 7 years, people who've managed to stay on treatment for that length of time, there is a separation that they appear not to progress as much. So what's an antibody? We've talked a lot about the immune system already today, and you've heard about natural killer cells and T cells. Well, B cells produce antibodies, and these are the humoral immune system. And what they do is that they, at the tips, as has been described, they are able to recognize certain proteins or foreign material and bind to it and help for the immune system to get rid of this foreign material from the body. And this could be a virus, or it could be a protein treatment. So in people who are injecting interferon, even though the copy of it is meant to be very like what your body produces anyway, the immune system can recognize that it's not quite right, produce antibodies that bind to it, and some of these antibodies can prevent it interacting with the receptor, and therefore we don't get these effects downstream and the drug is not active. So who gets neutralizing antibodies? Well, there's been a lot of work done looking at this, and it seems that people who are on betaferon, the 1B, are most likely to get antibodies at about 35%, those on Rebif about 25%, and about 5% on Avonex. So the work that I did, which has largely been funded by an academic grant and money from the European Union, was in this country to set up a test to look for these neutralizing antibodies. And this is a very simple illustration where we take blood from a patient, from somebody who has multiple sclerosis treated with interferon, and we incubate them together. In people who have these antibodies, it's bound to their interferon. So when we add it to the cell system, those who have antibodies, we don't get a response, and those who have no antibodies, we get a response. So these cells contain a gene which, when interferon binds to its cell surface receptor and you get genes upregulated in the nucleus, we've added in a gene that emits light. So this is the luciferase gene, which comes from the firefly. So you think of fireflies and their glowing light. This is what is being emitted here, and we can measure that. So just to reiterate, obviously, people with the antibodies, they don't get the downstream effects. So we've used this in the luciferase assay, but also these proteins can be measured to see whether the drug is active.